What is the difference between a budget and a forecast? They certainly often get used interchangeably, but we would tell you that there really are some key differences, and there are different times that you'll want to use them. First, let's talk about a budget. Usually, a business budget is done on an annual basis. It is an exercise that more than just the CEO or the business owner participates in. It's something that usually involves the management team, maybe department heads. It certainly depends upon the size of the organization. But normally, you'll see other people have input to the process based on their specific area of responsibility. The budget usually is something that gets reported against as part of the monthly financial statements. It is often something that may be requested by an outside investor or by a lender as part of the annual process. A forecast, on the other hand, is not something that typically gets done on an annual basis. It's usually done in the middle of the year or on a quarterly basis. It usually is not nearly as detailed as a budget is, meaning that you'll often see it get done for just specific line items or areas of the business. So it could be a sales forecast, it could be a cash forecast, it could be some sort of payroll expense forecast, particularly for companies that have prevailing wage jobs, have union employees, or have some overtime issues that they're trying to figure out, and even some shift differentials that may come into play. So those are a lot of the times that you'll actually see some sort of the payroll forecasting get done. The other thing that's usually true about a forecast is that it is often much shorter in time frame. So it could be a quarterly forecast. It may be a forecast that happens in the middle of the year to the end of the year. So the time frame might be 6 months, it might be 5 months. It's just something that gets done on an as needed basis. It's not necessarily something that happens every single year. The other time that you'll see a forecast get done is when a company is looking at their pipeline. And what I mean by that is it might be contracted work, it might be quoted work, and there's an assumption for how many of those quotes are actually going to turn into contracts or into job orders or um, actual revenue. And there's a time frame a lot of times for how quickly or not those decisions get made by customers. So a healthy pipeline is a form of forecasting, or just a pipeline is a form of forecasting. We can hope that it's healthy. So you'll hear it referred to as a sales pipeline. You may hear the words backlog used as well. A customer order backlog can be a really good basis for doing a forecast. It's not a forecast in and of itself, but it could be a strong component. So those are the key differences really from our view about what a budget is versus what a forecast is. A budget is a lot less dynamic than a forecast. A budget is usually for a company's fiscal year, whether that's a calendar year, or whether there's a different basis for it. It often has departmental components, and it almost always is from revenue all the way down to net income. The level of detail might vary by company, but it includes all of the key lines. A forecast, on the other hand, is a lot more dynamic. It's not necessarily for the full year. It doesn't need to include every single part of the income statement. I gave you a couple of examples, like a sales forecast and even a cash forecast, which is not really on the income statement at all. And so those are some of the ways that you can use them. And you might actually use both a budget and a forecast, depending upon what you're trying to look at, the key assumptions that you're trying to make, what the outcome is of how that tool is going to be used. So, whereas a budget is something that can be a little bit more strategic in nature and can help the company make some critical decisions about, say, capital investments or even key position hires, a forecast is usually done to address a very specific issue at hand. That may be because the budget isn't working quite the way that you wanted it to. Or because there's been some sort of a dynamic change that you need to take into consideration. So those both are very, very valuable financial tools that companies can use, and they provide different benefits. So let me know which part of this really hit home for you, whether you use a budget, whether you use a forecast, which one's your favorite, and also be sure to subscribe to our channel so that you will get notified of future videos.